Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ZZQ. Zero Zone Questions, number 2, this one. Actually, technically, it's like the 3rd episode or 4th episode of Zero Zone. It doesn't matter, it's just the 2nd one that I've done recently. So, anyways, getting straight to it. The first question we have here is from Vince. I can't read Japanese, so the question is, does mage, Opie, directly relate to how strong they are? I'm gonna say yes. Then a lot of people ask a bunch of questions, and I just told them to ZZQs because I'll just filter them like I am right now. So then, Sayano asked, who is maximum synergy between Popol, Eustace, and Mia with Freya? The answer is, of course, between all of these. If you guess. No, Yuzong, if he's released the way he is in the advanced server, is definitely the number 1 sync for Freya. I don't think they're gonna let him out that buffed. But yeah. Then, of course, Mello asked, who is the cutest lizard? Yeah, that depends on your definition of cute, Mello. I try to answer a lot of these, as you can tell in here. But anyways, Vince asks again, who's the best laning partner for Ruby? I would say Rafaela. Makes up for that early game deficit that Ruby may or may not have. Usually does have. So then let's scroll up to the next one. Does my old build for Gudgeon still work? Because I haven't played the game in a long time. And you're copying Gosuhun's build with a little bit of counter building when it's necessary. I do not know what Gosuhun's build is. My old build no longer works on Gudgeon, and I should be flashing my current Gudgeon build on the screen. Just make sure you go from number 1 to number 3 and only use the middle build against high CC enemies. As you can tell, I didn't reply to Vince when he asked this. So the next one is Haas, Class, and Argus. How good is that? Should you put it on there? No, don't do that. Please don't do that. Mello says that Hanabi is better than Kagura. Wait, he's assuming that this is true. There's the first fallacy in this, so bad Mello. Let's go to the second page, which is interesting because if you look here, over here we have this, and over here we have this. Oh, I see why. Because there's a... I'll try to scroll here. Minsithar is the next mentioned, but the problem is that maybe it's at the bottom. Yeah, so Minsithar is mentioned, but not the corrosion site. Anyways, I'll just reply to this. Corrosion Scythe being a replacement for Scarlet Phantom on Argus, not really because of the critical rate increase percentage-wise. Then the next question is, how do you Minsithar, his role in the team, and the build, please. Build is flashing on the screen. I have it on Snake Place as well if you're in the Discord server. Generally, you learn Minsithar by doing a lot of prediction. His role in the team is to, of course, crowd control or lock down the enemy blink heroes, and or burst down the heroes that he hooks, provided it's a squishy target. So, not really a tank. People like to play him as a tank. Not really his role. He really does feed the team due to his passive, and he should be really high in gold. And even if you build the mask, which is to essentially funnel other allies, he should still be like number 2 or 3 in gold minimum when he plays on the team. Sharky, next question is, why does Saya always skip practice? I don't know about that one, Sharky. I really don't. Alright, next one is from Shadow. AP or Magic Claw doesn't work anymore, right? The answer to that is he still works, but the new Raptor Machete updates and buffs and stuff do render it equal. It used to be that Magic Claw was stronger, now it's equally strong. Situationally, you can build it against enemies that are building, for example, the Wind of Nature, and you can counter that because Wind of Nature only cancels out physical damage. Anyways, should you equip Feather of Heaven on Bedang if you versus a Karina? No, Karina usually dies from wall splash damage when fighting a Bedang. So, and that's if she's caught, of course. She can really kind of sneak out of there if she's full HP, or she can ult somebody, one of your allies if you're being accompanied, to get out of there, and then just run away. But yeah. Next question is, of course, can any mage be a mid laner support? Who are the best mage supports right now? So, I don't understand this whole concept of mages being supports. I think this is a very weak way to view a mage. I understand what you're saying, but only mages that do not need to rely on items or physical, or not physical, items or scaling otherwise can do this. Mages like Wilier can quote be good at mage support. Mages like Lilia, for example, essentially if you can equip a mask on a mage, which there are quite a few, I guess that's what you could define as a support mage. But other mages that are designed to, of course, do a lot more damage and carry in terms of damage shouldn't be doing the support. It's a really weird set of situations, since Kimi is one of those damage ones that you can go support on. There's exceptions to the rules and everything like that, so it gets a little complicated right now. I would say right now, no, not every mage can be a mid laner support, for sure. That's a big no-no. There's different ones, like you can't have Lunox be a mid laner support. But in terms of which ones excel at this, of course everybody knows about Wilier, and I would say the next one closest to that in terms of supporting in general would probably be Faramis and or Rafaela, and against Rafaela is an actual support though. Anyways, Drowsy asked, why are Dairoth players so retarded? I would say probably because they just use weird builds. They don't like tank Dairoth, and that's weird. Why is Leslie picked over Layla? Mobility, pretty much mobility. That's about it. Because in terms of damage, Layla's way better. Why isn't Leslie erased from ML for being too assassin? Or you probably meant the other word, but YouTube. I don't know why Leslie isn't erased. She's pretty good as an assassin. I don't know about as a marksman, but she's pretty good. She used to be cancer for like a whole season, and then she just got nerfed. Anyways, Nene wants to ask, what are the comps that Link should be in, and what are the comps he shouldn't be in or go against or avoid? So Link in general should be played in comps that are extremely aggressive. So if you have basically 3 or 4 allies that are going to be invading all the time, and all you have to do is keep up with lanes and jungle like crazy in the background so that you can carry in the mid to late game, that's where Link should go in. You don't want to take him against enemies that will do exactly that to you, because then you lose the chance of risking losing blue and then basically being underfarmed, and that's where you should not take Link. You can get around this by taking basically defensive mages for your blue buff to secure it. Mages like Wilier excel at this, and also Baxia excels at defending against enemies like Hylos or basically any tank, because his skill 2 is of course based on max HP. But anyways, so then the next one is from, let me scroll up here because I'm gonna scroll through a bunch of random stuff. In my opinion, is Leslie as useless as people say or think? No, definitely not. I think she's really good, and she's just really there's just a difference. Any marksman or assassin, there's the standard one that just feeds, and that's probably what people see the most, and that's probably what people remember the most. And she's not as popular as Granger, and therefore all the people that are really good don't really play her, but when they do play her, they usually dominate. So no, she's not that bad. Alright, next one is, I want to at least try the Bedang Freya comp. What if we remove the marksman? Alright, so he really wants to try Bedang and Freya. I say no. But in case you guys didn't know, Freya did get changed and all that, and so DHS is no longer active on her ultimate. It doesn't apply to everyone in her ultimate, so I've changed the build. I made a couple discoveries recently, and I have a new build for her. All you have to understand from this is that they made her a crits kind of fighter, which is basically a buff. It's worse for the squishies, and it's worse for the tanks because there's no way to stop it, and Bloodless Stacks does heal her basic attacks on her ultimate while keeping the skill damage heals on her on any or at any time basically. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. Is Cho hyper carry effective? The answer to that is probably not. Should you start meaning Cyclops? No. Cho hyper carry isn't as good because Cho doesn't have really small cooldowns like you would expect a hyper carry to have, so not as good. Maybe if you had a follow-up, which basically then means you can't be the one hyper carrying, so no, not really. Freya plus Minthar, asking from Sayano. That's a yes and a no, it depends on the enemy. Melo's being toxic over here. Af is asking how to mid better. That depends on your hero. I can't really answer that question. Then Trim asks what to do when you're low laning to solo queue to mythic. Pick solo queue type heroes, man. Now, what's next over here? Carry versus Kimi, who is better? Well, the answer to that is it depends on the enemy team and what you want. I classify them completely different from each other. Usually I take Kimi as a support mage or a mage, and depends on who I'm playing with. If I'm alone, I'll play the mage / damage. If not, I'll do the support role. Carry is like 10 times better because she has no real counter and she's kind of cancer. Lolita can stop her for a bit, but not for much. But yeah, basically the only counter she has is Argus, and that's kind of toxic. So I would say if you're looking at strictly being able to kill everything easily, you're going to have to go for Carry. If you're looking at range abuse, you're going to look at Kimi. 10 heroes that synergizes with Sylvana well. That's a lot to think of on the fly. I think I already replied to you. No, I didn't. Man. So the ones you have right here are great. And instead of giving you specific heroes, how about I give you a more in general what synergizes with Sylvana. You need follow-up. So Sylvana can engage really well, but you need to be able to have that follow-up. So Tigreal can follow up with CC. Freya can follow up with CC and damage. Kufra follows up with CC. Lilia follows up with damage, and of course Kaja has CC and damage. So you need a type of any kind of follow-up is good. You just can't have her alone. That's about it. Alright, now, and yeah, specifically mages, as Clavis over here mentions, there is the magic defense reduction that really synergizes with magic type tanks as well, like Uranus. So, anyways, then AM107AM says, should you buy a magic item for Baxia like Ice Queen Wand or Glowing Wand or not? If you have another tank on your team or a really tanky fighter that can kind of help you out there, your best item is going to be the Necklace of Durance, so that you can alone apply 80% AntiRegen to the enemies, and that is toxic, and that is the most toxic form of Baxia that you will ever know about. So, next up we have, is Kimi worth banning in a 5-man team? Not really, no. You have other things to worry about in a 5-man team than Kimi. More like the people that make the counter plays, like Diggy and Kaja and Grok, and like I'm drawing a blank here, like Natalia or Ling. It depends on what counters your team comp in a 5-man. If you're running a specific team comp, whatever is going to counter you. For example, if you're a 5-man trying to run Fanny, you're going to want to ban heroes that counter Fanny, like Kaja, Cho, Kufra, Minthar. That's what you're going to be looking for. So, not really Kimi, unless Kimi specifically deletes your team comp. So if she's a counter to your team comp, yeah, you can ban her. If not, not really. Not a good idea. You're sacrificing stuff. Next one is Wilier worth being a high priority ban or pick? Not in my opinion. He's really good in terms of a pick, high priority pick, but not a ban in my opinion. So, next question brings from Shadow. Is Nana good right now, and with what heroes and what comps is she best? She's always been good ever since her rework. It just took people like a whole year to realize it. And in what comps is she the best? And that would be for any kind of anti-dive comps. So kind of like fuse her with Tigreal, and you have a really almost undiveable team unless they have Dicky. So yeah. Then asks what's the appeal of the new Assumption other than his CC immune and his damage res on his S1, like why is he ranked so high on the tier list? So is talking about my tier list, and I went over this recently. This is probably before I posted my explanation video, so I'll just explain it really quick. Essentially what it is that regardless of what you build, Assumption has guaranteed criticals when you switch ranges and when you use his skill 2. And that is absolutely broken because you don't have to build Scarlet Phantom, you don't have to build anything else. You can literally just build Berserker's Fury to increase the critical damage, take the Marksman emblem and increase the critical damage, and then just build Full Burst and do massive crits. Guaranteed. Just by switching melee to ranged or by using your skill 2. It's really toxic, that's why he's so up there. The other reason Sayano did say is that the fact that he can run DHS and Golden Staff, he actually can. The Golden Staff passive of not being allowed to crit is bypassed by his 100% crit rate passive when switching forms, which switching melee to ranged or skill 2. So you can essentially, whittle down a tank to really low HP. That's when DHS is weak because they're really tanky and they're just really low on HP and DHS isn't really helping anymore. So what you can do then is switch your ranges, get into melee range for that tank and just like 2-shot crit the tank. And it's really toxic. That's why he's so critically high up on that list. So, next up is Sharky asking if Hylos is worth banning. No. Yeah, I also gave him a tip. If you want to counter Hylos, just let them pick Hylos, take Baxia, and ruin his whole career. Hylos' whole dive mechanism is countered by Baxia's infinite reset on his donuts. So yeah. Next up is here from Clavis again. How do we compute magic defense reduction when there are magic defense reduction items, magic defense reduction skills? Sylvana, Divine Glaive, Nana, Genius Wand, blah 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 blah. Okay, so I am about to release a video to help you out with this one, Clavis. I already recorded it yesterday actually, I just didn't have enough time to post it. It is an Excel spreadsheet that you can input your own reduction values, the enemy's defense, and your own penetration from your items, or your flat penetration from your boots or your emblem, then your actual skill damage into the damage column, and then it calculates the final damage for you. So there, you don't have to do anything. People have done this already. I made it into an Excel sheet that's easy to access, and I've explained it in the video, so hopefully that's a really good tool for you to use there. Next one is, do I think Rafaela, Selena, Kimi, Grok combo is still viable to invade? Oh yeah, that is cancer. That is really good to invade. And if so, what rotation to do? So if you're going to rotate with this kind of, these kinds of heroes, you're going to have to rotate based on enemy buffs and try to knock down the mid tower so you gain access to both sides of the jungle, of the enemy jungle, so that you can kind of pincer attack both buffs. That'd be your best option with that kind of team comp. Nene asks, as an assassin player, what do you think is good? A good engage for you to jump into a team fight, and when to jump into team fights. That's very simple. Just when most of the CC is gone is when an assassin usually picks up the slack. Sharky then asks, is Claude worth the ban? If you're not going to pick heroes as your team comp, again, this is just like Kimi. If you don't have heroes that will counter Claude, you do want to ban him. He's really strong, and if you don't have any knockup, you might as well just kind of give him a free star. So anyways, the next one is over here. Let's see what we got. Oh, I clicked on something different. I guess I have to go on to the first page over here now. But I'll just make sure by scrolling over here. Should I become a Roger main? Yeah, see, it doesn't show up at the very bottom here. Trim actually, yeah, as Sayano says, Trim 2 days ago, I suck at Roger main. He sucks. He's really raging about being, we really pressured this guy into being a Roger. And then now he's all of a sudden really good with him, and now he's like a Roger main. He's saying how good Roger is, so you gotta take it with a grain of salt. Then the next question, hey, here we go, it finally synced over here. Why don't you use Endless Battle Freya? So number one, even when Endless Battle was not nerfed, I still did not like it because you reduce a lot of damage, AoE damage. Your Endless Battle passive can be triggered often on Freya, so it's not like the worst thing ever, but you're only hitting that one person with that true damage. DHS is better if you're going to get that solo hit thing. If you're going to be 1v1ing somebody, DHS is going to help you a lot more than Endless Battle is. She doesn't need all the extra stuff from it. The only thing that's really good from it is, of course, the cooldown. However, the stuff that they have reworked her into is either going to be Berserker's Fury, or of course DHS early game, or Bloodlust stacks. All of those options by far surpass Endless Battle in terms of AoE damage. Even if you say you're going to build these items later on in the game, you're nerfing your early game, and that's critical for fighters like Freya. It's critical throughout the game how you build fighters essentially in general, so you're going to want to focus your early game so that your late game doesn't suffer. And if you do build all the crits and the Bloodlust stacks and stuff after Endless Battle, and like I said, it's still fine, but it's only going to apply to that target in front of you, not anybody else. And in that case, if you're just going to be frontlining, usually it's the tank right in front of your face, DHS is going to help you a lot more than Endless Battle is going to ever help you. So, next question is from Nene. When will you see a big, huge difference in MLB player performance? Oh man, that's going to be after Rift, in my opinion. It depends on how good Rift is. If people don't like Rift, which is guaranteed to happen, some people may not like Rift, and if that happens, then you're just going to have a lot of people migrating to ML, at least to try it out. So look forward to that, and obviously more people means a lot more people interested in how the game actually works, not just random stuff. The next one over here is from Skoy. For the build in Snake Place without boots, do we just not buy boots? So the answer to that is I have some builds on the server over here in Snake Place, right here. And if you see builds in there without boots, just ask, quickly ping me. If you see boots, no boots in there, that's usually because I sell my last item for boots. And however, some heroes like Freya don't really need the boots. It depends on your playstyle. Anyways, next up is from Arcane. Is it better to take heroes in Hellcurt and Kaja as first picks since they don't really have counters? So I would say that yes for Kaja, no for Hellcurt. Usually, if you have, I mean, it depends if you're going 5-man or not. If you're going kind of like trio or solo, it's not a good idea. Why? Because if you trigger an assassin main by first picking Hellcurt, they will feed. Like, people are so stuck up in their heads, like, oh, this guy picked Hellcurt. Oh, it's time. I wanted to pick Gudgeon. Now I want to feed. This is literally their mentality, so you have to kind of factor in for that and be careful when you do that. So, next up is, if an ally, and why is this one first and this one, what? Alright, anyways, Kaja's ult can't be purified. This applies to Diggy's ult as well, even if Diggy ults first. Yes, that is correct. You cannot purify it. Nightshade Inari asks if an ally Angela ults on his son and then said son uses his ultimate, does that effect apply to his clones? If you're talking about the movement speed and stuff, yes, that applies to his clones. If you're talking about the shield and there being like split 3 Angelas on 3 clones, excuse me, let me drink some soda. If you're talking about Angela splitting into 3 and covering 3 suns, that's not going to happen. It may even be counter-productive because there's going to be a clear indicator on which one is the real sun. Anyways, oh look, this is where the build question was at. That's weird. So, AM 107 AM, can Badang be built semi-tank and can he be played as a support fighter? Yes, he can. That's actually my favorite way of playing him. You have to have a finisher though. So either you're going to have to take a Martis, which is not good because then people freak out. There's 2 fighters on the team. But I usually take him with Karina. And Badang can literally almost nuke a whole team. He just needs to get that final nudge in. And Karina easy savages with that, man. So, next up is from Flicker, Zask is for Dog. Okay, how come you don't use glowing water sustain items on your hyper carry Sylvana builds? So there's some Sylvana builds that are hyper carry in the Snake Place. This time I'm not putting it on the screen. You need to join the Discord server for those. But the reason there's no glowing wand in there is because Holy Crystal overpowers the glowing wand in terms of damage easily. So Next up is from Skoy, is selling the boots on Argus late game for worth it or not. Oh, that's actually one of the few times it's not. He needs that mobility to chase those enemies that are escaping. Exalted, which is no longer in the server. Asks, is Golden Demon Argus a thing? No man, please don't. Arcane, is Hellcurt a good hero to replace Marksman in 1-3-1 and 1-2-2? Not really. You're gonna have to choose faster ones that can lane a lot faster. So again, this is where Ling and Natalia shine. Excuse me, and Hanzo to a certain extent if he uses his ghost to travel in between lanes. Next up, Fish from Skoy again. In what situations is Flicker better than Sprint for getting near to the, or getting close to the enemy, is what I assume here. When there is a lot of crowd control and you need to surprise gank the enemy, Flicker is better. If you just need to chase the enemies because they're just running away or they're just really fast, you just need to be faster than them, or there's a lot of enemy slowdowns like Lilia, then Sprint would be better. Anyways, next up is from... Well, Garo didn't really say ZZQ, but I'm going to mention it because I see what he's talking about. Retribution on certain tanks. This is actually a really cool strategy. If you're going to inverse funnel a tank, you can equip Retribution on the tank and some jungle items and just rely on them stacking it by stealing enemy buffs. And it will, of course, prevent the enemies from getting fed because you're literally stealing their jungle. So it's a really good snowball strategy. It's really cool. It works on Grok, Kufra, and Uranus or Hylos as well. Actually, I mentioned that right here. Look at that. Next one from Sharky, is Shadow Mask broken? No, man, not really. It's not. I mean, it's not broken in terms of being like cancerous to use, but maybe if you're talking about a bug, it's not. Problem is if you use it when somebody else already used it. So like if someone else on the team has Shadow Mask, even if yours is on cooldown and the cooldown has reset, if you are within the original timer of the Shadow Mask, it will not apply the effect. So you can't have like 5 different Shadow Masks and have somebody proc it, then as soon as it ends, proc the next Shadow Mask, and then so on and so forth. You can't do that anymore. So sorry about that. Let's see what else goes on too. I don't like how this is skipping some results. If you guys know how to filter or fix the filter system over here, let me know. I don't like what it's doing. I think I'm skipping some stuff. Sorry if I did, guys. Arcane, since Benedetta charged basic attack does skill damage, can Hellcurt silence her charged basic attack? The answer is yes. Anyways, next up is, thanks Dark for replying to that, by the way. Does Necklace of Durance make Rafaela useless? It makes her heals kind of useless, but it makes her more viable because she has a really nice even spread of NOD if she equips it herself. ZZQ, how does Lancelot manage to lose the Balmond 1v1? Balmond is tanky, and he has a lot of damage. So if the Lancelot is not fed and he can't kill the Balmond will out-sustain him. That's pretty much the story for any assassin trying to kill a fighter, in general. Alright. Nene says that one time he played, Hayabusa played against a Lance and then ulted him and then used his, he used Lancelot is what he's referring to, used his skill 2. But Hayabusa's ultimate didn't get cancelled. Any explanation for that? So if you catch Lancelot, if Lancelot uses his skill 2 in between Hayabusa's attacks on his shadow mode, it won't cancel Hayabusa's ult, and it happens quite often because of the duration of Lancelot's S2 anyways. It's pretty short, so it just happens a lot. Anyways, next up is, again from Drowsy, what's the most important thing the tank or support player should focus on? Depends on what kind of tank you are or what kind of support you are. I would say just focus on what your hero brings to the team. If you're a crowd control tank, then of course you're going to want to be crowd controlling. If you're a invasive type tank, you're going to want to be invading properly. Support player, same way. If you're going to be supporting through healing and stuff, then make sure you do it to the right people. If you're going to be supporting based on setting up ganks and stuff, then, you know, have at it, do it properly. Just as long as you can do it properly is what matters here. Alright, now, Dogs Simp to Me asks, is Divine Glaive and Genius Wand actually as bad a combo as people say it is? Intuitively, it is. Realistically, it is not. Moonton does not, unfortunately, make it detrimental to equip both items at the same time. What that means is that if you equip Genius Wand and then you equip Divine Glaive after that, you're going to be doing a lot of damage to squishies and a lot of damage to any kind of tanky hero. It's just the way it works. Because Flat Pan is factored in first before your percent reduction. So again, I have that Excel sheet. You guys can plug in values and mess with it and provide your own kind of set of scenarios, and hopefully that can answer your questions. But no, they are not in any way countering each other. So anyways, next up is, let me just double check over here. There's one over here that kind of got skipped. The anti-regen buff, is it already on the original server, or are we talking about the next update? So the anti-regen affecting spell vamp is already out, so it's free to use. The only thing that doesn't work yet is Ruby. That has been fixed on the advanced server, and so once that update hits, it's ready on Ruby too. So yeah, kind of cancer. Next up is from Nene. I would like to know if playing Claw more than 2 fingers is good. Man, it's just your style. You don't have, there's nothing like an advantage or anything like that. There's not enough statistics on that to even say or make a claim on that. So I really can't, it's whatever you're used to, and I don't think there's a measurable difference between either. Next up is from Dachshund to me. When should we use Genius Wand? Okay, I already said this. Nene asks why no one is using Haas's Claws. So, people don't build it right. People build Haas's Claws first, usually, and then they end up feeding. It's usually because they don't have enough damage to justify the Haas's Claws. If you instead build it late game as a sustain item on heroes like Irithel who do massive amounts of damage, then it's really hard to kill Irithel, even through anti-regen items, because just of the high base damage over there. So, in general, if you're looking, that's actually, no. If you're going to look for a way to sustain, just make sure you have a high enough HP pool, so you're going to be wanting to build Wotak and then using Haas's Claws. If you're kind of going for the regeneration route. My English just died there. I am so sorry. Sharky asked again, Clawed Banworthy. Already answered this. Stop asking the same question. Okay, next up is over here. Let's scroll. Dachshund to me. Is Bloodless Freya good? Yes. She is good now. Again, this is because of the discovery, and I'll show you this. As a matter of fact, since I'm close to the end here, I'll show you this.
Guide me!
That's really vexing.
Guide me!
Let me mute it just in case. Alright. How do you make this bigger? I can't make it bigger. Oh, yes I can. Okay. Check it out. Sorry for the low quality. It's a low quality so everybody can download it really fast. Anyways, here is moi showing the build. Boots, BOD, Berserkers, BOD, BOD, and I'm just gonna buy Bloodless Stacks right here, right? Purchased. Now my HP is low, my ult is in full blast, excuse me, and I attack the Laylas, and look what happens. So, that is toxic. Anyways, back to where we were at, which was in Zero Zone questions. And we shall refilter again. Nah, we'll just scroll. We're at the end almost. Can Gwen be used as a mid laner? I would say not really. It depends on your team comp. If she has to, she can, but it's not her best. It's not her strong suit. It's not her forte. Next up, let's see what we got. I know we have a couple more. Oh yeah, here we are at the end. Night Shady Nari, what are the pros and cons of using Clock of Destiny on Sylvana? Why would you build her, or why not? So I answered that. Pros are more HP and more magic power. The cons are less utility for your team, or less team viable items like Demon's Advent or the Genius Wand earlier. So you do get a little bit, it's more of a selfish kind of thing. If you're not trusting anyone, it's okay to build it on her. It's not going to hurt you. it's fine. It's just not what you want to build for her to excel or make your team good. So, next up is Sayano use Blizzard text. No, man, no. But yeah, hopefully that answered a lot of questions in the Zero Zone questions. This video is pretty long already, so I'll just cut it off right here. I would go into Reddit, but you guys asked a lot of questions this time, and I'm kind of happy for that. So, see you guys next time. Zero out.